Hey guys, thank you so much for clicking on this video. My name is Shemin and I'm going to be doing a tarot reading for you. And so before I, sat down here to film this video, I pulled a card from the main deck that I'll be using to ask what I should read about. And I got the Devil in Reverse, so definitely a theme that I'm personally working through that I think we are all kind of on some level always working through at least a little bit. But the Devil card in reverse specifically is about kind of like overcoming bad habits, addictions, kind of like these things that we are just kind of like, we know they're not the best for us, but we still, for some reason, are just kind of tied to these particular things and they kind of drag us down a little bit, or they prevent us from becoming the best version of ourselves that we can possibly be. So, I'm going to go ahead and say a mantra before I shuffle to help me connect to your guys' energy and we can all get our collective reading together. And yeah, then I'll start shuffling. So, oh, and if you want to skip all of that, I will leave a timestamp down below so you can just jump right to the reading. But I, the ego, am stepping aside. I'm connecting to my higher self, which is connecting to all of your higher selves, benevolent beings, spirit guides, spirit, and entourage on the other side of the veil. Any messages that need to come through will come through as I remind myself that in this moment I am just the messenger. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and start by shuffling this deck. All right, so for the main card here to kind of help us work through our bad habits or addictions, limiting patterns that we have right now, we've got the Three of Pentacles in reverse, clarified by the Queen of Pentacles. So both of these are in the suit of Pentacles, which is going to be dealing with a kind of earthly or physical realm. So I think for a lot of us, kind of like our bad habit or thing that it is that we're working through right now is rooted with kind of like something as it relates to our day-to-day life. The suit of Pentacles is the physical, so these are kind of like the things that we are physically interacting with and doing on a day-to-day basis. So yes, and specifically the main card here is the Three of Pentacles in reverse. Three of Pentacles upright is all about kind of like teamwork, companionship, almost like a co-worker type of energy, whereas the Three of Cups is more of a kind of like friendshipy type energy. And so with the Three of Pentacles being in reverse, I feel like some of the kind of like, limiting things that some people are experiencing right now, I feel like some of them may be tied to work or kind of like to coworkers or people that they are kind of like interacting with on a day-to-day basis. And so it could be that this is kind of like a collective thing that you are going through, or it's like this collective kind of like, limiting energy, or there's something that's kind of limiting this collective's energy here. But specifically with it being in reverse too, I think this is also something that you can't rely on other people to kind of like help you work through or out of, even if other people are contributing towards it being a factor for you. Nobody can make you do anything. You can only ever choose to do it yourself. You've got to embody this Queen of Pentacles energy over here. But kind of, it's like the Three of Pentacles is in reverse, so it's like the strength or the energy of other people is not going to be the thing to get you out of this. While yes, groups can be an awesome support method, they cannot make these decisions for you. And so the Queen of Pentacles is this kind of like, this ruler and this worker with this kind of earthly energy. She is very aware and capable of kind of like how to just like affect or make changes in the earth around her. She is capable of working with this earth or this pentacle energy in order to rule and, facilitate the things that she does. And specifically, the Queen of Pentacles kind of has this like softer, more watery, kind of like emotional energy to her too. I think it's like Crowley, associated each of the court cards with a different element. Queen is water. And so to me, the Queen of Pentacles kind of reminds me of like this mud in a very positive way, where it's like, if you're trying to plant seeds, you can't plant seeds or, your pentacles, in ground that is dry, like a desert. They do better if it's in kind of like moist soil. They have all of the components they need in order to grow and turn into what it is that they need to turn into. And so specifically for you, try to make sure that you're giving yourself all of the tools that you need in order to be successful. So if you know that, certain factors or stimuli kind of produce specific results and you're trying to avoid those results, go ahead and set yourself up for success by just kind of like allowing yourself to follow through with that. Or again, just kind of like allowing yourself to actually get up and like go out there and like buy, that organizer that's going to help you get over procrastination or anything like that. Like water your own garden is what I just heard. So, all right, so this is kind of like the internal aspect here, and this is the external aspect. So internally here, we've got the Eight of Wands in reverse, clarified by the Page of Pentacles upright. So Eight of Wands, when it's upright, is a very fast, very quick, like lightning bolt strike kind of energy. With it being in reverse, it's saying that this isn't going to be something that just kind of happens instantaneously. Again, it would be stellar and awesome if it was, but with it being in reverse, it's like, I think there will be kind of like these slower, more incremental steps to kind of getting to the place that you want to get to. And it's not going to be just like one thing happens and then it all kind of happens right after, which I think is a little bit nicer, especially if it is something that is a little bit more like ingrained in habit, as I feel like the Devil energy usually is. It's a later major arcana. It's a kind of older, more established energy to it. With things like that, it slower movement, I think, sticks a little bit more substantially for us, or we're kind of more likely to hold fast to it if it is kind of like this slower integration into, rather than just sudden, kind of like change into. And the clarifying card for that is the Page of Pentacles too. And so Page of Pentacles, again, related to the Queen of Pentacles, is, pages are all about newness and beginnings. Specifically, one of the ways I like to read court cards is kind of like this order of progression. So to me, pages are like novices in something. They've gone through the numerical cycle to know kind of like, gain a little bit of experience and maybe know what it is they kind of want to, oh God, what was the word I just had? But kind of like develop into, I guess. And so with the page here, it's like, recognize that you are, like new to this in a way. It's like, even if you've tried to kind of like overcome these bad habits or addictions, or again, whatever it is they may be before, this time when you're starting it, or whatever kind of structures you try to put in place, or whatever that Queen of Pentacle energy was for you, when you first start doing it, it is going to be a thing that takes time, especially again, and with that Eight of Wands in reverse, it will be a progression. When you first start this or you first try doing it, you may not succeed right away. You may kind of go back into bad habits again. But again, that is all a part of the process of kind of like recognition and unfolding for, again, just structure, just process, all of these things too, journeying out of whatever this kind of thing is that's holding you back currently. And so by recognizing that this isn't just like a pass or fail thing, but a thing that you are growing into, I think is a better way to phrase that. I think that will help a ton in kind of helping you get out of this. And so the external side here is the Nine of Swords in reverse with the Temperance card also in reverse. So Nine of Swords upright is all about letting our personal fears and bad habits, or just kind of like negative mental energy kind of get the best of us. With it being in reverse, and this being kind of like an external thing, I think that the people around you don't think as poorly about you as you may think that they do, or specifically as it relates to whatever kind of like this particular situation is. I think your own mind may be projecting some things onto them, and that is kind of like, just not the case here. Your guides are calling attention to say that kind of like that negative external energy is worse in your mind than it may be in reality. Clarifying card for that is the Temperance card in reverse, which is a little interesting. So the Temperance card is a major arcana card, and it's one that comes after the Devil card, or right before. So the Temperance is 14 and Devil is 15. So it's interesting. So the Temperance card is all about kind of like this mixing and melding energy. It's usually got like the cup pouring into the other cup. But specifically, Temperance is about kind of like holding back or pulling back in certain areas in order to allow this energy to kind of flow forth into these other sectors that we're trying to have it kind of flow into. And it's like by pulling back, we reserve that energy to then be able to put forward. It's interesting. It's like with this being in reverse and it being the card that comes right before the Devil card, and especially with the kind of Three of Pentacles thing that came up in the beginning where it's kind of like maybe there's not the best kind of external thing going on, or again, you can't expect external sources to kind of like help you out of this particular thing, or they can't do the work for you. But it's like Temperance coming before the Devil. It's like almost like there wasn't this pooling of energy or this kind of like pouring from one cup into the other. And that is kind of what fed into this Devil energy, as is the natural progression and cycle as the major arcana always follows. The Temperance card always comes before the Devil card. And so it's like, sometimes by choosing to pull that energy or kind of by not, whatever it is, whatever our experience is with the Temperance card, it's like that is what allows us to kind of see what these bad habits and these addictions are. So again, it's like even with this, other people won't be able to kind of tell you or show you exactly what this is or kind of how they see it externally. I think it's like you will have to kind of go through your own internal experience and kind of do the things that make you feel the best about this situation. And so at the bottom here, this is the lesson or reason behind why this particular combination of cards came up for you today and why this is what we're here talking about even. And so for this, we've got the King of Wands upright clarified by the Seven of Pentacles. So King of Wands upright is all about this kind of like, it's almost like to me, it's like the most similar to the Emperor card that you can find in the minor arcana. And so the King of Wands is this kind of like very confident, courageous, just kind of like full embodiment of this kind of like harnessed flame energy where it's like he's very passionate, but has control over that. It doesn't drive him. He has his motivations. He follows through with these things. He like has this inner drive and fire and pull, and he is capable of like harnessing that and like allowing other people to also kind of like be fueled by it and kind of like jump along with this. The king rules his kingdom. He's got his subjects. Not that we rule over, we rule with, remember, shared power. But with this being here at the bottom, I think one of the reasons why it's so important to kind of work through whatever this particular obstacle may be for you now is so that you can kind of fully step into and embody that just kind of like very courageous and confident energy that your guides are wanting you to embody right now. Be the master of that element. And I think that, again, it's like the first card here was the Queen of Pentacles, and then there's like the Page. So it's like this beginning and then not quite full to the end of the cycle here. And then the ultimate lesson here is that final ending of the cycle. It is that mastery of that element, which is, ultimately all about the mastery of the self, which is what, we're all here to do. And clarifying card for that is the Seven of Pentacles. Seven of Pentacles is about this energy of kind of like green tomatoes. So it's like putting in the work, seeing the fruits of your efforts kind of like show results, but not quite being ready to harvest that yet. And so with this being the clarifying card for this, I think some of you have maybe been in this energy of kind of like, to me, the Seven of Pentacles is a little bit frustrating because it's like, oh, I did the work, like I want to see the rewards, but it's like, no, you still have to put in a little bit more work. You just have these green tomatoes still. So with this being the card here at the bottom and my particular connotation with that card, if you have been feeling a little frustrated with things not moving forward as quickly as you feel like they should, or you're not quite seeing the fruits that you feel like you should be seeing for your efforts, it could be that this is kind of the thing that is blocking that. rather than, you know, any X, Y, or Z kind of other thing. It is just this, once this obstacle or this kind of like cycle or lesson is kind of learned and overcome, that is the thing that will kind of allow for your tomatoes to start to ripen a little bit quicker. And so cards on the bottom of the deck here, we've got the Well card in reverse and the Knight of Wands. Ooh, let me see if I can get that. The Knight of Wands upright. So the Well card is one of 2 additional major arcanas that this particular deck adds. That's not in the usual major arcana system, but I like this deck, so I keep it. But the Well card comes right after the World card. So it's like after you've gone through this entire cycle, you've learned all your lessons, you've gotten your little epilogue, hooray. Now it's time for you to kind of like look back at everything that you've just gone through and kind of like draw inspiration from all of these past things. And so for, you know, with this being in reverse, to me, that's kind of correlating to the Devil card being in reverse. So it's like, I really think that it's like in order to also like help motivate you to kind of like work through this is like to really look back and think about how this particular thing has been an obstacle for you or has been something that has held you back in the various ways that it has, and maybe by kind of like writing it down or even just thinking about it kind of all at once, you can kind of really start to see why this is so important ultimately. Because again, we wouldn't be here talking about it, we wouldn't be here doing a reading on it if it wasn't important for you to hear this in some way, shape, or form. And the other card here is the Knight of Wands. So hooray, we got all of the court cards. We got the Page, Knight, Queen, and then King here. So again, there is that progression happening. There is this motion and evolvement and developing happening kind of like right now. And again, the Devil card is a later major arcana. It's not the Fool. It is not like, oh, this brand new beginning, you got to do this. It is just like this subtle little shift, this subtle little letting go that must happen along our path, no matter how heavy it may feel, no matter how long this has been a part of our path. You know, we are all progressing towards, again, that mastery of the self and being able to control all of our elements, you know, and kind of all of the elements and things around us as well that kind of contribute towards all the things that we do. And so this card here, Knight of Wands, is about this kind of like excited motion. So it's like, you know, the pages are these novices where they're still kind of like exploring and figuring things out. And then when you get the knight, there's like, you know, the knights are always on their horses, which are a little bit faster. They have this more, you know, this quickness to them. To me, it's like when you're new at something and you're just kind of learning the ropes and then you kind of figure stuff out and then you're just like, wow, oh my God, I can do this and I can do this and I can do this. And you kind of get to play around with it and you kind of just like do a lot more with it because there's this excitement with it. The Knight of Wands, you know, again, suited in the Suit of Wands. So I think, you know, with this being the background energy here, it's like this whole thing and this process is here to just kind of help you further explore and understand kind of like the things that drive you and motivate you and kind of like working on learning how to harness those things and work with these driving forces in maybe healthier ways where we can still get that initial seed of why we have that devil energy to begin with. Because again, nothing ever starts for no reason. Hermetic kind of principle, for every effect there is a cause. You know, we don't start having bad habits because we just all of a sudden sit down one day and decide, you know, we really want to start doing this thing. We really want to be procrastinators. We really want to have, you know, a substance addiction, or we really want to just like, you know, do X, Y, or Z, watch TV all the time, social media, any of those things. And so, you know, understanding why we're running, why we're seeking these things out, why we're avoiding certain things, then we can start to work with the kind of root causes of these and kind of delve into and explore that and further understand ourselves and kind of like, you know, just why we're walking the path, you know, what it is that we can do to work past that devil energy and eventually get to that Star card, which comes right after. So the Oracle card that we have here is Unique Gifts. Here's the artwork for it on the front. So, we all have unique gifts to bring to the world. If we all did what we truly excelled in and enjoyed, our talents and abilities would enable our communities and our planet to thrive. If you haven't connected with your purpose, look at your quirks and what they are telling you. What makes you unique? Look for the positive sides of your oddities and traits. Things you have considered shortcomings might be the qualities that enable your gifts. Are there things you'd like to try or feel pulled to explore? Now is the time to follow these whispers. You never know what they reveal. And so I think, again, this ultimately is one of the reasons why it's so important to, again, just work through this cycle and get to this, is so that way you can just enjoy more of your own personal uniqueness and the things that make you you. And you also don't have these limiting factors getting in the way of you sharing these things with the world around you. So we can all enjoy a little bit of you and kind of see just what's out there, as we're all kind of, again, just like seeking to know more about ourselves and the universe and the world around us, as we're all just walking each other home. So that is my reading for you guys today. I'm going to go ahead and say a mantra to disconnect from your energy. So if you stuck around in the beginning, I would appreciate if you stuck around now. And if this resonated, go ahead and leave a like, comment, and subscribe down below. I would really appreciate that. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye. Thank you so much for coming through. Thank you so much to you guys, your higher self, benevolent being, spirit guides, and entourage for coming through and assisting in today's reading. I am now disconnecting from you all and sending you back with love as I reconnect to my own higher self, spirit guides, and team, settle on down into the physical, and close out the reading. And so it is.